We're back with episode 14 now, I believe. Yeah, I believe 14. I totally forgot to shuffle all those, so they were 100% in alphabetical order. A lot of universes beyond in our YouTube world. Hopefully. Oh, that's boring. Okay, let's see if we get something that's not universes beyond. Teysa Karlov. I believe this is just gonna be the Death Trigger one. I hope it is. Yeah, Death Trigger, one that I've wanted to build for a little while. Yeah, Death Triggers. I'm actually really excited for Teysa Karlov. I can build myself a deck with her. I do have some stuff like good old Drivnod in my personal deck already. Yeah. It should be a good deck. Last time was Bird and Pingers with Grace and Starn. And this time it's all about sacrificing and getting some beautiful death triggers with some creature token synergy with the Vigilance and Lifelink. We will be back after we've built her. And we are back for episode 14, I believe. 14? Yeah, 14. With Teysa Karlov recently murdered in Murders at Karlov Manor. But this is the creatures dying, causing a triggered ability. This is another one I've wanted to build for a while. I have this secret layer Taste-Off where it's like the Neon City BS. But yeah, we got some good sack outlets. We got Bart being able to sacrifice anything and get a 1/1 counter on them. Blasting Station dealing 1 damage whenever a creature comes into play, being untapping, blasting. Spawning Pit, sacrificing a creature to it and putting a charge counter on Spawning Pit. And then you can remove 2 counters to put a 2/2 spawn artifact creature into play. And then just be able to scry with good old Scry Witch over here, even though it's a vampire wizard. We got some beautiful death triggers. We got Pawn of Ulamog, Sifter of Skulls, who will both make a creature whenever a non-token creature dies. And these are just scions that you can sack for mana. We got Feral Ghoul, which isn't out yet, but will be out with the Fallout sets. Whenever another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on them, and then when it dies, each opponent gets a number of rad counters equal to its power, which is a great mill. Uh, Alice Elcor, Sadistic Pilgrim, Death Touch, and whenever another creature ETBs or ETBs under my control, you gain 1 life, and whenever a creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Cruel Celibate, which is whenever a creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1. Same thing with Blood Artist, and then Bastion, it will come in making a soldier, and then whenever it does the same thing as Blood Artist and Cruel Celibate, these three, are going to be picking your opponents a lot throughout the game, and then once you get Sifter of Skulls and Pawn of Ulamog, adding those extra Scion spawns, pretty good overall amount of creatures that you can make here. We gotta get some of our friends back though. You got Whispering Blood, Liturgist, sacrificing 2 creatures, which can be those spawns to return target creature from the graveyard. Victimize sorcery just in case there's something big that you need to get back into there, or 2 things big from your graveyard onto the battlefield. Luminous Broodmoth, being able to return into the battlefield with flying if it didn't have flying in the first place. Junji, also being able to bring a non-dragon creature back and then, losing 2 life. Some great cards to just bring stuff back from the graveyard to make sure that you're getting some good value for your buck. I think really Whispering and Luminous are your 2 biggest here. Victimize is good, if you need to bring Junji back, and Luminous. But Whispering Blood, being able to bring back a creature that you want to sacrifice over and over again once each turn, or in theory twice each turn, with the classic little spawns that you're going to be making. There's just some great sacrificing, some great creatures to sacrifice. Some of these more than other. You got Reassembling Skeleton, being able to bring them back for 2 mana. This Human Cleric, when it dies, bringing 2 spirits into play. Haunted Witness, 1 mana to bring a 1/1 into the field. Hallowed Spirit Keeper, making X spirits where X number of creatures in the graveyard. Dusk Rose, where it's equal to her power, and whenever a creature dies, you put a 1/1 counter on her. Tithe Taker, very good overall creature. Just making sure that, yeah, sorry, I just completely just blanked out. Making sure your opponents can't cast stuff as good, making them cost one more or two more. And then if it dies, you do get a spirit creature. It just, you kind of want it for its first ability, but then its second ability is good just in case it gets fucking pinged to death, or someone just decides, oh, that's too good, we need to get rid of it, kill it. Oh, now he has a spirit. It's just a good overall card. We got some good token makers. We have one of my favorite planeswalkers of all time. Like planeswalker cards, my favorite planeswalker is red and 6 or red and 7. Just red in general. But we're going to go over Mondrak and Scribe, and we're going to come back to Kaya, because I want to talk about her for a minute. Mondrak will double all your tokens, and then you can sacrifice 2 things to give it indestructible, and Skrelv will be making a bunch of Phyrexian Mites, which you can, in theory, sacrifice. Kaya. Kaya's ghost form spirit thing, the ghost form counter, you want to put on a creature that is cheap that you are sacrificing, or something that or just to give it protection. The ghost form counter, I think Kaya, if this Kaya specifically, is super underrated. I think she's one of the funnest planeswalkers and one of the best. You also get to exile a target non-land permanent, and then beginning of upkeep you may cast a legendary spell from your hand at graveyard or from among cards you own in exile without paying their mana cost. That final ability is insane. That can really get you out of a bind if you are in one. Obviously you can get her up there. Or just being able to exile a target non-land permanent. If your opponent has a coma, hitting him with that ability. I would be like, my friend used to have a really strong coma deck, which it was mostly strong because of how many tokens he would make and its coma. And then he had it built in such a way where almost everything was a mana rock, a token doubler, or something to make a copy of coma. But the ghost form counter is really the big thing with this deck, because it also makes you a 1/1 spirit, and you get your creature back to your hand. Our end game, though, we do have to think about win cons for Teysa, and we have a few. Bring them back for some pain and gain. You can sacrifice them to Ashnod's Phyrexian. You're going to get mana from it, but you're also going to be making mana from Pitiless Plunderer, the treasure token. And each time he dies, he's going to be pinging your opponents or gaining you a life. And you can bring him back through his own mana ability. So you sacrifice him to Phyrexian Altar. Pitiless Plunderer triggers, making you a treasure, and you get an extra colorless mana from Ashnod's Altar, giving you essentially infinite colorless mana. I looked up combos for the deck, because I built the deck and I looked up if it had any combos in it. This was its main combo. In theory, though, this is a 2-slide theory. We got Blasting Station and Spawning Pit. For Spawning Pit to really work, you need 2 charge counters, and let's just go over it. So, okay, in theory part 2, you're going to use Kaya here. You're going to hit Haunted Witness or any 1-mana creature that makes a creature. You're going to hit him with the ghost form. You're going to sacrifice him to the altar, gaining 1 mana. So then you have 1 mana and then 1 treasure. And you also have a soldier and a spirit. He'll go back to your hand. You'll use the 1 mana from Phyrexian Altar to cast him again, or the 1 mana from treasure to cast him again. So you can cast them infinite number of times, and then at that point you have infinite treasures, you'll have infinite soldiers, and you'll have infinite spirits. And then with that, you can sacrifice creatures to Spawning Pit to get a bunch of 2/2s, or you can just do it with Blasting Station by sacrificing the spirits, soldiers, or whatever. It's really good. This is a combo that I didn't see on the combo list, and I'm not surprised since it's a big one. But also the thing is, you can you don't need to use spawning pit if you don't need to. You know, spawning pit doesn't matter. Spawning, the only reason pitiless plunder here is because of spawning pit. If you just if you just have Kaya hunted and Phyrexian, you can just do it immediately. You have just infinite soldiers and spirits will be able to cast hunted infinite amount of times. You know, infinite ETBs, infinite death, all that. But then you add blasting station, dealing one damage to target creature or player. And that's infinite damage. And then it's just an overall good thing to look at, and they're just good. Just a good combo that I didn't see in the combo list on the site that I used. It's not EDH Rec. It's like Commander Spellbook, I believe. I'm not 100%. But these are something to look at, you know, if you're making, you know, it doesn't have to be Hunted Witness. I believe I have other, I don't have any other one manas on this one. But either way, you could probably use anything that makes a good amount of mana. You could, in theory, if you have Pitiless and the Altar, you can use Taker or Miscreant, just because of the spirits that you're going to be making. Uh, you can't exactly do it infinitely. I realize because you can only activate Kaya once per turn, but either way, it's something good to look at. Just something you can loop over and over again each turn, or if you have the obelisk, is that what it's called? It's the thing that keeps counters on them. Let me Google it real quick. Into hunters after death artifact. I believe it's the obelisk. Oh, the Ozolith. If you have the Ozolith will take the Ghost Form counter, and that can easily fit into this deck because that will help Alinda and whatever else needs 1/1 counters on it, or you know, flying counters. You don't have to activate. It's a May ability at the beginning of combat on your turn. This counter has hit. Move all counters onto target creature. Yeah. Uh it's okay. I realize that the combo that I was hoping would work doesn't really work, but it's something to do every turn, you know, making a lot of creatures. Uh, yeah, that one's on me. Either way, you know, please like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Comment on what you want to see next.